What's going on, people? We are back with episode number 17, Conscious Approach Podcast. JV Wins here, Dave De Niro G here. Thought we'd spend a little bit of time talking about the unfortunate incident involving Ahmaud Arbery, who was another one of these innocent young black men who was gunned down, this time in broad daylight up in Brunswick, Georgia. But we going to take a bit of a different approach to it. We're not going to spend too much time doing the standard issue stuff that most other people are going to say and that most people probably want us to say, which is, we need change, we tired, we always getting hunted down in the streets, racism, white supremacy, blah, blah, blah. So we're not going to spend too much time talking about that. Thought we would take a couple minutes attempting to give some perspective on how a little accountability maybe can go a long way towards helping to stem the tide in these situations taking place. But just an update for anybody who isn't aware, although if you're connected in any kind of way, that's impossible for you to not be aware that the arrests were made in the situation. So Gregory McMichael, age 64, and Travis McMichael, his son, age 34, were arrested a few days ago and charged with murder and aggravated assault.
OD and good old OD.
Yeah. So we'll see how those situations play themselves out. But they were arrested and charged with murder and aggravated assault. But that's as far as we'll go in terms of the facts of the case. But you had some interesting thoughts about, I guess, ways that you wish that we would have a different approach to certain situations like this, just in terms of within our own community.
Yeah, I mean,
quote unquote community.
Because I was at this local tea shop when I was reading, I saw the outrage, and I get it. We understand the situation and the racial tension that surrounds this whole situation, but it did strike me. I was thinking, that it's just, I don't know if you want to call it funny or strange or just a little. I just seem to notice that, we seem to get all riled up when something like this happens from, a white person killing a black person or Caucasian killing a black person, however you want to put it. But, I just find it still confusing and a little bit sad that the black community doesn't seem to rally around each other more so, just from a personal standpoint. It's like we get all outraged when something like this happens, but yet we still have a lot of issues amongst ourselves that happen amongst each other in the community. Still, we're not treating each other with the utmost respect at all times. We're not the most supportive of each other. We're still not supporting each other businesses and endeavors like we should, the way you think we would, the way we get outraged when something like this happens. So I think there is just a little bit of hypocritical stance that we seem to take when it's something like this. Not saying that what happened, I get it. There's no justifying, and we understand the actual incident at its full, first outlook. We understand there's no denying what happened, but I just think we should have that same type of energy when it comes to seeing each other succeed as a unit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm gonna take it a step further. So when Nipsey got killed last year, Nipsey Hussle, I in one of my rare non-conscious approach related Facebook posts or just social media posts in general, I posted something to the effect of, I find it unfortunate that there's an absence of like these Black Lives Matter rallies and movements and protests and all of these kinds of things that take place. I find it sad that there is an absence of those movements whenever it's a black person who's killed another black person. I think the point that I was making, that this guy shot Nipsey Hussle in cold blood, we ain't out in the streets talking about Black Lives Matter and talking about how You know, and there seemed to be only an emphasis placed on the ideal of Black Lives Matter when it's a white person killing a black person. And so the point that I was trying to make is that in any instance it should matter, because life, whether killed by a black person or a white person, is precious nevertheless. And so the reason why I think like things like Black Lives Matter and situations like with Ahmaud Arbery cause such a firestorm is because we are unfortunately still living in a day in which a lot of these racial fueled conversations just get more gasoline poured on the fire whenever situations like this happens, because it gives us the opportunity to reopen those wounds and talk about how we're still victims of oppression and racial injustice, which to a large extent is true. But I think that both conversations can be had at the same time. And what frustrates me is the fact that a lot of us as black people seem to be unwilling to have those conversations at the same time. Like, we're intelligent, reasonable, logical people. It's perfectly reasonable for us to say we need change with criminal justice, we need change with social injustice, we need change with some of the systemic institutional practices that have long-standing ramifications and consequences for us uniquely as black people in America. And a lot of that we need to reverse field on a lot of that. A lot of that needs to be corrected. We can say that, and we can also talk about how some of our actions and behaviors and decisions are having degradatious effects on our population.
Yes.
But the thing about it is, when you attempt to have that when you attempt to introduce that counterpoint into discussion, it's like you immediately get shot down if you're not spewing the same, they're against us. If we're not spewing that same rhetoric, oftentimes you're met with hostility. And I find that unfortunate, because if we don't address some of the problems that we're having intra-communally, we have a long road ahead of us in terms of really fixing some of the problems that are affecting us societally, especially in the United States, especially in America. I think it's incumbent upon us to have accountability for each other and to have those conversations concurrently. But at this point, I don't really see it. I don't see us being able to have those conversations concurrently. All we seem to be interested in talking about is how we are victims of fill in the blank with whatever circumstance that we're a victim of.
Yeah, and like, let's just be frank with it. The problem is, it's just this goes for anybody. You don't have to be any race, any color. First things first, like you said, accountability. So most people need to understand how to. If there's a thing, you can't expect what you don't give. And so, we want people to respect you, especially if you want to be respected as a person, as a human being in general. But, from a black community, if you're going to do the racial standpoint, black people want other cultures and races to, respect them, not gun you down in the streets.
Well, we just want a decency, humanity.
Humanity.
We want to be afforded
that. We got to understand that there are, like you say, there's an economical standpoint to this, and there's, like you said, a lot of things. Our environments are different. We see different things. But for somebody who doesn't interact with, let's say, the black community like that, it might empathize, with the way it's set up. They can see that video of the young black man getting killed and empathize and want to try to, okay, man, but then it takes 30 seconds later and there's a video on Facebook and it's 50 black people fighting in the White House.
Yeah. And I think it undermines the message that you want to get across.
Because it's just hard to say, because people say, it's like the whole thing, like, okay, you want to be saved, but I'm not seeing you make an effort. And it's like, I don't think we as a black community are not making the right, I'm not saying right, we don't make enough effort from what I see to be more unified, to be more, I'll still go out places, we still mean mug each other. Like, we need to just speak and be more cordial with each other and be more supportive. So it's unfortunate that we get supported for something like this, but yet, we got friends and families who's doing other things, business stuff. We don't support that. So it's just a little weird, man. It's unfortunate that we seem to be, like, say, Black Lives Matter, but
They matter.
To what extent? To
ma-
what extent?
They matter only when they're taken at the hands of a white person. That's the thing.
That's not right.
It's not right, and it's like, in my opinion, I think that it's like you said. If you go on WorldStar or any of these websites, or all you have to do is just look up statistics. I think in that Nipsey post, I said that per capita, more black people are killed by other black people than by white people. That's not something that I made up. That's a fact. You can look that up. That's public record. I'm not making that up. Now, a lot of people out there who want to wave the fist around saying it's not about that. We need to stop the social and the social injustice and the injustices inherent in the criminal justice system and all that, and that's a separate problem from what we're talking about. I just disagree, because I think that I think that you will find solidarity once we commit to lessening the violence that we do to each other. And I think it makes it easier for other groups of people to understand the plight of us as a people when we're spending less time being antagonistic towards one another.
Yeah.
And we still have a problem with overcoming that hurdle. There's just not enough solidarity. And like, these are issues that go along in other communities as well. So don't get me wrong. Like, when it comes to white people, you have your sort of, there are sects within the white group, not sex, S-E-X, sex, S-E-C-T-S, where there's different sections where it's like, these white people have a problem with these white people, or, within the Latino community, this group of Latinos have issues with this group of Latinos. So I'm not talking about something that's unique unto us solely, but what I am getting at is the fact that this is a numbers game. And when I talk about a lot of the issues that plague black people specifically, the reason why they plague us is because of our numbers, and they are dwindling. So from a statistical standpoint, Latinos have already overtaken black people as a dominant minority in America, right? So from a population standpoint, I think the latest figure is like 14% of America. There's 400 million people in America. You do the math. It's not a lot of us to go around. So a lot of these problems that we might talk about that also affect other communities in addition to our own, the ramifications of those problems are more pronounced because our numbers are less. So when you have less numbers, the problems are going to be more pronounced. It's like it's as if I give you a jar of M&Ms and there's 10 M&Ms in a jar, and I say, Dave, pick me out the red M&Ms. You'll be able to easily do that because the red M&M is more pronounced in the jar where there's only 10 M&Ms. Now, if I give you a jar of M&Ms and there's 1,000 of them in there, and I say pick out the red ones, probably gonna be harder for you to do that because there's so many in the jar. It's the same with us. So violence, undereducation, underemployment, all of these issues that plague every other society, every other community, the same way they plague ours, it affects us differently. And the results of those, those problems are more pronounced because there's less of us to go around.
Gotcha.
So you'll be able to spot a lot of that more.
Yeah.
And so it's no different with the violence. Like, we need more solidarity juxtaposed to other communities, in my opinion, because our numbers are smaller and they're more dwindling.
Yeah.
So we just need to come together more. And, whether y'all like it or not, whether we like it or not, we won't be able to reach that perfect utopia society where everybody loves everybody and there's equality and black people have the same opportunities as white people. We're never going to see that world, however long it takes, without cooperation from other groups.
True.
That's just the way it is.
Well,
and this is my last point. It's going to make it easier to attain that cooperation when we have more solidarity amongst one another, so that other people can say, oh, they're together, they're not fighting amongst each other as much as they used to. Maybe we should listen more, because as a group, there's strength in numbers and they're not so divided.
And I feel you on that. I can read, and I'll just say, I guess it's like this for everybody. I don't care. One thing, I was having a conversation with somebody about this other day with racism, And if you don't think racism is something that's stupid, just look around right now at quarantine. Everybody is in the same position. They didn't say black people get 1,200, white people get 3,000. Everybody got 1,200. They didn't say white people stay outside and black people, got to stay inside. Everybody inside right now. So like, it's stupid. It's stupid. We all the same. We all the same now. The economical parts that changes, but that can all change depending on who you are as an individual. Has nothing to do with your skin color. So if you think racism matters, then show me where, because right now I see black people, white people all in the same position right now, quarantining from home, and black people, white people done lost jobs. So that's stupid. But on the second part, it's black people for real. And we're not perfect, but we do have to consider certain things. And some things I know we say culture, like the pants sagging, but it's just a life. Whoever you are, you can't expect people to see you from nothing more than what you showed them you are. And as our black community, we lacking in a lot of things, but not saying the other communities are perfect, but we know what's happening. We know some of these sets, like you said, have been in progress. So it's time for us to be accountable. And like you said, we come together and do more unified, try to help each other, try to uplift each other, and do things to kind of change the persona, then we might have a better chance at changing other communities' personas. But it doesn't help when you steady gunning me down and I look just like you. It doesn't help when you steady robbing me. It doesn't help when you steady beating me. It doesn't help when you steady want to fight me. It doesn't help when you trying to do all these things to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
that's
all I want to say. So I'm not trying to hit and say rest in peace that young man, that young brother Ahmaud. Seriously, like, I firsthand, I can only imagine what his mom's going through.
Yeah.
But from to try to get some kind of positive outline through the situation, we all as a whole needs to do better, period.
Yeah.
But just remember, like, it's stupid, man. Like, if you think somebody is determined by the skin color, man, you just deserve to be in the corner by yourself.
Yeah.
Go to timeout.
Yeah.
But,
I'm with you, man.
So.
I'm with you. I think that it's important, and don't watch this video and your main takeaway from that is Dade or myself is trying to suggest that racism don't exist.
No.
Ain't nobody said that, so don't, because you have people who misconstrue your message and they'll want to get on TV talking about how
you tell racism don't exist.
Yeah, ain't nobody said that. Yeah, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about the next step in the evolution. We're moving beyond that, and a lot of these issues go deeper than someone simply disliking another person or group of people because of their skin color. It's deep rooted. There are socioeconomic foundations that are in place that we need to sort out. And the most important thing that can come from all of this, even if you think that what we're saying is a total crock of shit, right? Let's say you just disagree 100% with everything that we said in this video. It's important for all of us to be intelligent, logical, and reasonable. We all can understand that there is a way for us to have concurrent conversations so we can acknowledge that what happened was wrong and that there's a lot of problems in place that work against us that we need to fight against so that we can all see a better day. We tired, hashtag, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we need to accept responsibility and accountability for our continued behaviors and priorities and choices that we've made that have contributed to why things remain stagnant in the way that they remain stagnant. We can have both of those conversations going on at the same time. It's not about castigating blame or trying to get onto a video so that I can get more attention, likes, or whatever by appealing or placating to a base and spending 20, 30 minutes talking about how all white people are bad and racist.
Yeah.
I have no interest in doing that. That would be disingenuous on our part.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to use this platform to leverage a message like that.
No.
I'm not going to do it.
But I will tell you, if you think somebody's doing something wrong to somebody, how they treat them, if you're not treating people the way you want people to be treated, or if you're not treating people in a fair manner, or if you're not being, like a good human being to other people who look like you or whatever it might be, you can't get mad if somebody's not doing it. Because if you're not doing it, you can't get mad at for the next person. So I get it. You know, we like I said, we know the situation. But if somebody does something that you don't like, unless you're actually deep down inside, you trying to live by the same merits, you can't get mad at the person, because that's the only way things change if you actually try to do it yourself. That's why this whole situation for so many years is going on with all this, because the hardest thing is for people to change.
Yeah.
It's not the system. The system's not changing.
Yeah.
But the people don't want to change. Let the system be how it is. If the people change, the system gonna have to change.
Or it'll fall apart.
Yeah.
Or it'll fall apart. Yeah.
But we not changing, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like,
absolutely correct.
Change, man. Accountability, you know, that's all I can say. Accountability, change. But like you say, man, it's just a crazy world we live in. But everybody, man, this world's big enough for us all to coexist at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I'll just say one last thing related to the topic, but somewhat off topic. And this is just something that I kind of want everybody to be mindful of. I think one of the worst things that social media has produced is the "well, what about" crowd. Let me explain what I mean. So the reason why I often stay out of comment sections and why I don't participate in these social media debates, outside of it really being a waste of it's a waste of time that I can be devoting to other practical uses. But besides that, the reason why I stay far away from this kind of stuff is because you run into these conversations on the internet, and it pisses me off, where you might make a blanket benign statement and somebody somewhere has to be a smart ass and one up you with the, "well, what about?" So you might get somebody who I was looking at the other day. Shout out to my man K Scott. You remember K Scott at the Leech?
I gotta see your face.
K Scott, man, shout out to you. Cause you are heavy with the social justice commentary on Facebook, man, and I appreciate it, because I couldn't do it as often as you do it. I don't have the I don't have the patience for it, and I don't have the patience for people's dumbass comments. Right? But shout out to you, because he posted something about this situation, and he made a statement about how, we have, long time in America suffered. We have directly suffered as a result of the institution of racism in its various forms. And then, you had, one Caucasian female who decided to chime in with, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that Black people try to, perpetrate themselves as the sole owner of the suffering of racism. I'm of Irish descent, and Irish people came to America, and we were the niggers of the Europe is what she said, quote unquote, and we suffered the same things. Racism is not the sole ownership of Black people. And it took everything in me to not chime in on that, but I decided not to. It's like, listen, lady, whoever you are, no one said that Black people no one said Black people are the sole owners of racism. Nobody said that Black people are the only people who suffer from it. K. Scott just made, his name Kendrick Scott, he just made a benign statement about the plight of Black people as a result of the institution of racism, going back to the history of America. All you gotta do is look up the history of it, okay? He didn't say in any kind of way no one else has the right to contribute to the conversation about how racism has affected them or the history of their people. You just took it upon yourself because you just want to sort of be a part of this group of people who have suffered because of racism. You took it upon yourself to make that comment. It was completely unnecessary. And I use that as a way to suggest that when it comes to these hot button issues, when it comes to like race or politics or anything like that, like, we have to fight this urge to be the, well, what about person. Don't be that person. Don't be that guy. Don't be that lady. Just accept the statement that somebody else makes and respect the point that respect the place that they're coming from. No one is trying to disregard your inherent suffering as somehow less important or non-existent. No one did that. So for you to feel the need to so aggressively make that comment, or for anybody else to so aggressively insert yourself into a conversation to say, you're not the only one that suffers, we suffer too, get over yourself. That just adds to the noise and the messiness of these conversations. And it distracts from the general issue. Like, we'll never get anywhere so long as you got people who just want to muddy up the conversation by degenerating it into, well, what about us? Well, what about this? Well, what about that? When no one said that in the first place.
And that's just like you said, that's a whole nother conversation. That can go into a whole nother topic.
Yeah,
But, like,
I just had to say it because
that's true. But it's people like that say, I was having a conversation. People like that is kind of like the whole religion thing. I'm a firm believer. Most people start to reply like that and get all antsy when they know they're wrong and somehow they're guilty. So you're trying to beat your point across with some asinine.
Yes.
And it's kind of like the religion thing. People talk about God and they want to beat you down with the Bible, but I'm a firm believer in, you ain't got to beat me down with nothing I can see.
Yeah.
So if you live in what you really feel, you ain't got to go out here and try to prove your point by yelling at a screen or trying to say, do this, do that.
Yes.
Because if that's what you believe, and if you really believe what you're trying to stand up for, you ain't got to say nothing.
Yeah.
I can see it. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
When I ride by McDonald's, it don't say nothing about a Big Mac on the sign. I just automatically know if I pull into McDonald's, I can get a Big Mac.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah.
I know what it stands for.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, because like I said, this is a society where most people with social media and everything, most people not living their truth.
So 100% correct.
People say they stand for one thing, but they don't, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
So when people want to say, "Oh, you need to follow God,"
well,
if you follow Him, then I might just follow.
Right. Yeah.
So so if you feel like something like that, just come on, man. When people, you don't have to beat your point across when you live in your truth.
You don't, man. So, but I think it speaks to an insecurity. I think people get so emotionally triggered to comment in that way and totally steer the conversation in a direction it wasn't even supposed to go.
Really, something like that. She said that because really she just said, "Shut up, black people." She tired of hearing black people get crying. In her eyes, that's how I take it.
Right.
She feel like black people always crying.
Yeah, or I think that it could potentially expose her for some insecure feelings that she might be experiencing because she herself has maybe from time to time been in a way racist towards other people. Might not have it might not even have to be black people.
We all have at one point.
Yeah, but it's not just. It might not even be towards black people, but just in general. We all have racial prejudices. It is what it is, but. We got to fight the urge to be the what about. Nobody likes a one-upper, man, and you don't have to be the what about crowd. That's what happened with Kaepernick. Kaepernick did what he did, and you had a whole bunch of people, well, what about this? What about the flag? What about the military? And as a result, the whole conversation gets completely misconstrued, and we get no result whatsoever, and a guy just ends up not having a job anymore.
And that's just what it's about. What about the lottery? I ain't hit shit.
And you know what it is? You woke up the next day, you had to go to work. You know what I'm saying? Or you quarantined, or you're working remote. It is what it is, man.
What about gets you nowhere? What about 3 months ago? Everybody was living their best life. Now we quarantining. What about doesn't mean nothing, man.
It doesn't.
It's like the if. So if you're a what about person, use this time to self-reflect.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes, that is correctly. Take inventory on what's important to you, man. And that's it. We're going to leave it at that, man. Rest in peace to Aubrey, to Ahmaud Arbery, man. It's a real sad situation. Hate to see something like that happen. But everybody take a step back, take inventory, and hold yourself accountable.
And I want to say one thing, though, because I did on Facebook, we're going to do shouts, but if you're on Facebook, follow us on Facebook. I got a new group we created called Love Over Guns. Put the guns down. So we're doing the whole movement to speak against gun violence. So Love Over Guns. Follow the group on Facebook and Dave De Niro and pvoapparel.store. Usually, that right now.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and close it out, man. Another constructive episode in the books. Be sure to like, comment on this video. You can find us on YouTube at Conscious Approach, as well as all relevant content available on consciousapproach.com. I'm getting back to my written content as well. I started this out as a platform with written blog posts. I've gotten away from it, focusing on video content, just life getting in the way in general. But I'm going to get back to that. Please read. You can find me on Instagram at JVWins. You can find me on Facebook at Javis Ogden, JVISOGD, and trying to get more involved. You can find, as Dave said, man, pvo.apparel.store is the website. pvo.apparel is on Instagram. All of the channels, man. Be sure you like and support, man. And as always, man, I always close out by saying, please, please, please support logical content.
Yeah.
Very important, man. We all need to support logical content. Whether you agree or disagree, man, support logical content. And until next time, unless you got anything else you want to add.
No, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, man. Peace be with everybody. Until the next time, we are out.
All right.
Peace.
Assalamu alaikum.